Hello everyone and welcome to a very casual 1 year of the Stardew Valley 1.6 update. In this playthrough, we'll be taking our time and truly exploring everything that the update has to offer. It is truly amazing how far into the game some folks get within year 1, but I can promise that my progress is not going to be nearly as impressive. However, I hope this more relaxed approach can resonate with you, as the game is to be relaxing, not another source of stress. I have 2 notes I want to share before we dive in. First, the only mod that is used in this playthrough is the UI info suite. This mod does things like providing daily luck and birthdays. However, it isn't anything other than a quality of life mod. Secondly, this series will be divided by season, so there will be 4 total episodes. With that out of the way, let's hop in. I'm sure you're wondering, Malloy, are you really going to walk into the update without a plan? Well, my dear viewer, I'm playing with a few goals in mind. Let's visit those goals. First, I want to get married within the first year. I haven't ever achieved this, and I want to see if I can do it. I already have someone in mind for a marriage candidate, but it may change. No, it will not be Haley. No, it will not be Abigail. Not Sebastian either. In addition to marriage, I want to max out 5 total NPCs' hearts. I have never focused on the relationship Stardew has to offer, and I want to change that. Another big part of Stardew Valley is collecting. I feel that it is appropriate to shoot for 75% completion of the community center and 50% completion of the museum. Now I know that there are some of you who think this is too easy, but I goofed and did not make the community center achievable within the first year. As for the museum, I think 50% is too easy as well. But I have a habit of forgetting the mines exist, so I don't usually have a steady stream of artifacts and minerals coming in. Something else that I forget about is seasonal events. However, we're breaking that habit. We're going to attend every single event that is offered within year 1. That was a lot to take in, but I'm confident you got all that. Let's see how our first season of Stardew Valley 1.6 went. Ah yes, a fresh Stardew Valley file. So much opportunity, or we choose the same pet despite the new options. And we just create the same character that we always use. Okay, seems fair enough, but we select a new farm, right? What's the point of playing 1.6 specifically if you don't... The forest farm? Really? Listen, I doubted myself too, but I can't help the teal hair, or the tabby cat that looks like my own, or a farm that supplies a steady supply of hardwood. Besides, I've played the new farm type on my own time, and frankly, I wasn't too crazy about the layout. Lack of changes aside, I began my day by swinging my entire axe at the box of parsnip seeds. Who knew you just needed to press A? I then tilled my soil, watered my dirt, and planted my seeds. On the way to town, I hoed up my first lost book. I also ran into Harvey and greeted him to check off the introductions quest. It is very much a one and done situation with this introduction. I truly loathe this quest, and I always shoot to finish it as fast as humanly possible. I ran into a few other folks at Pierre's shop and greeted them as well. After making it through conversations I didn't want to have, I bought the remaining spring seeds. Well, all except the stupid jazz flower. Let me clarify, I don't hate the jazz flower, I just didn't have the frickin' inventory space for it. And funnily enough, when I couldn't purchase the jazz seed, I immediately went to the beach to forage. Did I not just have inventory issues a few seconds ago? Moving on from that, I ran home and planted the seeds I had purchased. My field seems to be coming along nicely. I realized I was running out of time and wanted to make progress. Like I mentioned, I want to complete the introductions quest as fast as possible. I thought to myself, where do people like to hang out? The saloon. That's genius. Everyone will be there. Well, only the regulars were there. I was hoping for more folks, but it was indeed only Monday. It was the end of the day, so it was time for bed. As a side note, I may have emptied my pockets, but I never went back for that clam on the beach. I hope he isn't too lonely. Day 2 came in swiftly, and we got our letter from Willie. I excitedly ran to the beach to greet him. Soon, I received the bamboo pole. This is a very important tool for the early game, I prefer to make money through fishing early on, so I often fish all day if the opportunity arises. The more fish we catch, the more profit we can earn. From there, I began to fish, but there was something special about this trip. I had to look back to see what my luck was because the trip was insane for it being day 2. Turns out I had a good luck day, so it's less surprising that I had the result that I did. When I went on this fishing trip, I fished up not 1, not 2, but 3 treasure chests before I took a geode to Clint. After cracking the geode, I jumped right back into fishing and caught 3 more treasure chests. That is a total of 6 chests for day 2. I've never caught that many in a single day. The rewards were also, well, rewarding. As a fun little prize, I caught a river jelly too. Of course I caught some fish, but nothing exciting. Soon I returned to the farm and rested my head for the next day. Overnight, I gained fishing levels 1 and 2. Day 3 rolls around and it's raining. I spent the day, well, fishing of course. I caught a couple fish and 2 treasure chests down by the ocean. The chests held a lost book, a frozen geode, and a ruby. Perhaps I should start keeping count of all these chests. I was finally able to pick up the clam I missed on day 1 as well. He is no longer lonely. After my pockets were full, I ran back to the farm to drop off items and ship fish. Willie had requested a dandelion on the request board, so I picked one up when I ran home. Willie was grateful for the flower and paid me as promised. When I was at the farm, I picked up my geodes as well. I had planned to get them cracked before donating the ruby to the museum. The only thing I received worth noting is an earth crystal. I donated the ruby and the earth crystal to the museum. My pockets were empty again, so you know what that means. More fishing! I successfully caught a catfish and 1 more frickin' treasure chest. I donated the aquamarine I got, and I received cauliflower seeds as a prize. By this time, it was late, so I hit the hay. In the night, I gained fishing level 3. Day 4 began with Clint loitering on my front porch. He wanted to give me the furnace recipe. Honestly, I was a little surprised that I unlocked the furnace so early. I could upgrade my tools before I was inconvenienced by their strength. I generally put it off, but now I have no excuse but to upgrade them. After Clint left, I watered my crops and headed north for a day on the lake. The fishing wasn't all that exciting, but we're now up to a total of 11 treasure chests. I caught 2 today, and they had a rusty cog and a fire quartz. I took a break from fishing and ran to the museum to donate my collectibles. Soon I was right back to it, and I picked up treasure chest number 12 with a bone flute in it. My trip was cut short when my boredom took over. Fishing is fun and all, but standing in one place is not it. My farm needed further upkeep anyway. When clearing logs and weeds, I realized it was day 4, and I hadn't looked at the calendar in the town square. In a panic, I ran all the way to town and sighed a sigh of relief when I saw that no birthdays had passed yet. After my town run, it was late, so I decided to go to bed, and I gained level 1 foraging at the end of the night. Day 5 was a busy one. I think the most notable part about it, though, is that I finally realized the UI info suite was not working. After a troubleshooting session, my parsnips were ready. Unfortunately, there were no gold star ones, so I'll have to try my luck on the next batch. It was also the first traveling cart visit. There were good items this time, but I couldn't afford anything. No red cabbage seed, by the way. I sold all my parsnips to Pierre and purchased more seeds. I checked to see if he sold fertilizer, and alas, he did not. While browsing, I realized that I could afford the backpack upgrade. No longer shall we have inventory issues. I made a lightning trip to donate the bone flute to the museum and ran home to plant my new parsnips. By the time I was finished watering my plot, it was still early in the day. I realized it was the day the mines unlocked, so I ran up to get my rusty sword from Marlin. However, I didn't end up diving into the mines. I wanted to save it for a rainy day. After exiting the mines, I was finally able to complete the introductions quest. Don't get me wrong, you should absolutely introduce yourself to all the NPCs, but I don't want to feel forced to talk to certain NPCs. I'm looking at you, Clint. To fill the rest of the day, I went fishing and got even more treasure chests. That makes chest number 13 and number 14. It was Friday, so I ran down to the saloon to get the tea on the townsfolk. Unfortunately, they didn't offer much, so I didn't stick around. I got some beauty rest and a pleasant surprise of level 1 farming and level 4 fishing in the same night. It's another rainy day. As I mentioned yesterday, I want to save mine trips for days like this. Except today was a bad luck day, so my expectations were low. I awoke and immediately jumped into the mines. I didn't plan on making much progress at all, but we made it to level 10 by the end of the trip. In addition to that, I made out like a bandit. I walked away with a couple donations and multiple treasures, with no inventory issues. In terms of enemies, I only ran into a single horde of slimes. Beyond that, it was pretty quiet. I'd say it was a pretty solid dive despite the misfortune. I didn't stay too late in the mines because I intended on making further progress on the farm. I crafted 2 furnaces and realized I didn't have enough ore to smelt any bars. However, I was able to chop more trees and mine some more stone before heading off to bed. Unexpectedly, I got both level 1 combat and level 1 mining from the single mines dive. With a trip like this, I feel almost excited to continue delving deeper. Day 7 was a day of a little bit of running around and a little bit of fishing. It was Lewis's birthday. I'm embarrassed to admit it, but I had to look at the wiki for 5 straight minutes to figure out how I can prevent fumbling my first birthday of the year. I settled on a spare topaz as a gift for Lewis. The traveling cart was in town again, and there wasn't much I was interested in. I will always have my eye out for that red cabbage seed, though. After a disappointing cart visit, I nervously gave Lewis his gift, and he immediately thanked me for it. Phew! Didn't fumble this one. While in town, I ran over to the museum to donate the dwarf scroll I received the day before. My visit to the museum was brief, and I noticed that my pockets could use more cash, so I went fishing at the lake. We hooked a few fish, along with treasure chests 15 and 16. The chest provided 2 more donations for the museum. The progress I'm making on the museum is much more than I could have imagined at this point. Perhaps 50% completion as a goal was too modest. I filled my pockets with fish and walked to the sea for further fishing. I fished until the end of the day, and would you guess it, we picked up treasure chests 17 and 18. The day ended, and I had just barely missed fishing level 5. I was about 1 or 2 fish away from level up, and it was a little disappointing that I was so close. But I swallowed my pride and prepared for the next day. Day 8 is a lucky and rainy day. That's 2 things we're celebrating. I harvested my carrots and replaced them with parsnips. As an aside, this is where I began wondering if I was doing something wrong for the gold quality crops. As I mentioned, I wanted to save the mine dives for rainy days, so that's exactly what I did today. Immediately, I was mobbed by insects on level 11. Thankfully, I survived. Beyond the insect infestation, the trip to the mines wasn't all that fruitful. I walked away with 40 or so copper ore, and that's about it. You'd expect more for a good luck day, but it's alright. The goal of the trip was to collect more ore, so I'd say we won anyway. I left the mines for the farm to prepare for the next day. I wanted to get a pickaxe upgrade ASAP, so I threw most of the copper ore I had into the furnaces. I planned to drop off my pickaxe to Clint in the morning. The rest of the day and night were spent smelting, so once I finished that, I laid my head on my pillow and gained level 2 mining. Day 9 was productive. A few crops were ready, so I harvested them to sell to Pierre. Again, no gold star quality crops. On the way to Pierre's, I unlocked the community center. After Lewis gaslit me about the Junimos, I read the little gold plaque and awaited my letter from the wizard. Before I left the farm, I picked up 8 geodes from my chest. I intended on making Clint earn his keep today. He cracked open all 8 and a few donations popped up. I donated what I received and noticed a fishing spot. Nothing came of this fishing spot. Today, we ended up purchasing the first gift for our future spouse. Surprise! My future spouse will be Harvey! I know he isn't an insanely popular choice, but he has always had some kind of charm I was interested in. When I returned to the farm for the day, I crafted a 3rd chest. Organizing my chest took up the rest of the night, so I decided to call it. I finally gained that level 5 fishing that I barely missed a few days ago, level 2 farming, and level 2 foraging as well. Day 10 was yet another day of running around. Today is Vincent's birthday. I knew that he liked snails, but I haven't run into one yet. So I settled on a daffodil as a gift. I knew that Vincent would appreciate it, so I gave it to him with no nervousness this time. Lewis posted a request promising a prize ticket as payment on the request board. He wanted a flounder, and I was in the prime time to catch one. While searching for it, I fished up treasure chests 19 and 20. I caught the flounder, got the prize ticket, and cashed it in. It was only carrot seeds, but honestly, I think they're a nice prize. I donated my finds to the museum and ran home to clean up the farm. I was chopping wood and realized, I haven't talked to the wizard yet. I dropped everything and ran over to the wizard's tower. I then drank the forest scoop he offered me, and now I can read the Junimo writing in the community center. After the goop incident, I immediately went to bed. No levels tonight, but I did progress the community center storyline. Day 11 had quite a lot going on. First, I had crops to harvest. Again, no gold star quality crops. Robin sent us a letter saying her trusty axe had vanished, so I ran down to the forest to pick it up. I could use the gold right now. Speaking of gold, I did not have enough for the bookseller, so I passed this time. My pickaxe was ready today, so I picked it up. I know it's not a rainy day, but I felt it was appropriate to go mining. I was focused on a few things during this mines visit. I wanted to pick up more ore, slay as many insects as possible, and make it to level 30. Good news is that I met all of these goals. I slayed loads of insects and found the monster compendium. I also found 50 or so copper ores and landed at level 30. As a bonus, I found an ancient seed too. At the end of the evening, I joined the Adventurers Guild and purchased the cut glass. The what? Cut glass. This purchase was a questionable one. I was nearly finished with the insect slayer goal. After my purchase, I ran home and got tucked into bed. Overnight, I hit level 2 combat. Day 12 had a couple facepalm moments, and I'm warning you now, cause they're truly goofy. I harvested my crops and still had no luck in getting a gold star parsnip. I began to wonder if I was just unlucky. We'll revisit that shortly. As I do every morning, I read my mail and was notified that the dreaded Egg Festival was upon us. The traveling cart was in town, so I ran on over. I spied the items at the cart, and there wasn't anything I couldn't live without. At this point, I ran back to the farm and learned that I just abandoned my poor field. When tending my field, I got to thinking about the gold star crops. Why wasn't I receiving quality crops? I did it before without issue. What is different about this time? The answer was simple. Well, fertilizer. There was a reason why I was looking for it at Pierre's many days ago. Had I used my eyes earlier, I would have seen that I could craft a basic fertilizer. I ended up crafting 20 or so fertilizers to then just learn that you cannot place it on a plot with a crop growing on it. I am begging. I sold my crops to Pierre and headed to Clint's to crack a few geodes. I only received crafting materials. But I did donate the ancient seed. I plan on planting the rewarded seed the moment I can. That is, if I don't forget. To fill the rest of the day, I went to the mines and made it to level 40. On my trip down, I completed the insect slayer goal and collected a few ores. I also received the slingshot. And I immediately threw it away. It became late, so I ran home and rested my head for the night. Tonight, I was rewarded with level 3 mining. The dreaded day had arrived, the day of the Egg Festival. I had time before the festival, so I harvested my crops, and we got the frickin' gold star parsnip. That is 1 out of 5, baby! 9 a.m. came around, and with a deep breath, I headed to town. The egg hunt stresses me out. I don't know where the eggs are, and I'm walking into this completely blind. I put off the hunt and bought 10 strawberry seeds. Then, I had to take my obligatory photo. It was time. I had to participate in this egg hunt as much as I didn't want to. I have to meet my goals. The whistle blew, and I bolted off as fast as I could. I began to spot one egg after another. I picked up 1, then 2, then 4. Before I knew it, I was at 8. I picked up egg number 9, and it was over. I was unsure if I had picked up enough eggs to win. I already began to accept defeat when it was announced that I had won. I was awarded the adorable straw hat, and then I went home. Before I knew it, it was end of day, so I went to bed and prepared for the next day. Day 14 rolled around, and I immediately noticed that it was Haley's birthday. I had absolutely no idea what to get her. I couldn't remember if she hated diamonds or just liked them. I decided to roll the dice and picked up the diamond I had for her. Before I visited her, I tended to my crops, and guess who finally crafted a scarecrow? Crows will no longer curse me. Ooh, ha 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 ha. All right, sorry. That was a lot. Rope it back in, Malloy. Anyway, I ran to town and picked up some seeds. I was pretty sure that Haley wouldn't come out of her room until around 11, so I tried to find things to do outside. After some time passed, I gave her the gift, and she liked it. I had a lot of day left, so I accepted Willie's carp catching quest from the request board. I headed up to the lake and settled in for a long afternoon of fishing. Treasure chest 21 and 22 made an appearance during this trip too. I caught all 4 carp Willie requested and headed home. I sold the fish and just went to bed. Not an exciting end of day, but I did achieve fishing level 6. Whoa, hold up. It's been such a mad dash up to this point. I appreciate that you've made it this far. Thank you. But I feel that it's appropriate to review the progress on our goals. Our first goal, get married in the first year. So far, we are far from this. Harvey does not love us yet. We have to do more gift giving if we want to achieve this. Our second goal, maxing out 5 NPCs' hearts. Just like marriage, we are quite behind. We have basic friendship, sure, but again, we need to get to gifting. Our third goal, completing the community center and museum. The museum is coming along great. Fishing has proven to be very beneficial to our collection. As for the community center, we haven't donated a single thing. I think that speaks for itself. Our final goal, attend all seasonal events. This is our most successful goal so far. There's only been one event, but 100% is better than 0%. That was a yikes, but we have time. As a game plan, we can become focused on gift giving, donate what we have to the community center, and continue to attend events. All right, grab your hydrating drink and let's jump back in. Day 15 was a day that was perfectly average. Crops got harvested and replanted. They then got sold and more seeds were purchased. Today, I ended up finding 2 fishing spots. I caught various types of fish in treasure chest 23, 24, and 25. I wish I could share that they had fabulous prizes, but the most exciting part was a single geode. I also dropped in on Willie to pick up my prize for the carp catching quest from the previous day. I picked up a few forageables on the beach as well. My energy was depleted, so I ran home for bed. Today was a relaxed day. It felt right to me. We had a fruitful week, so the slow pace was welcomed. At the end of the night, I gained level 3 farming. Day 16 dropped by and we had both rain and good luck. What a combination! I had a few crops to harvest and would you know it, another gold star parsnip. Today I went to the mines and found interesting things. First I gathered a load of iron ore. Then I found a couple of wearables. The dwarf helm was my favorite because it looks like cat ears. Finally, I found 7 total frozen geodes. I still had time left over from my dive, so I went foraging. On my foraging trip, I visited the Hat Mouse. I haven't had many achievements, so there weren't many hats. I also ran into a cave with a door in the forest. Seems mystical, but I'm quite a bit away from that point. I'll keep this for later. By this point, the day had passed and I ran home. I snuggled up with the cat and earned level 3 foraging overnight. I awoke on day 17 and had yet another day of good luck. My field was ready for harvest and this one was a big one. I held my breath as I picked each parsnip. Oh my, that one is gold. Wait, that one is 2. Oh my god, I have all 5 gold star parsnips. I immediately stored those parsnips and began to craft sprinklers. I laid them all down and was satisfied with my morning's work. It was time to leave the farm, so I ran over to Clint's. From the geodes I cracked, I was able to donate 2 new items to the museum. I'm falling behind on my marriage goal, so I stopped by Gus's to purchase a coffee. I gave it to Harvey, and as expected, he loved it. To end the day, I went fishing at the lake. Amongst various fish, treasure chest 26, 27, and 28 showed themselves. As a reminder, I'm still using the bamboo pole. I don't know what kind of luck it has, but I don't know if I can change rods at this point. Once I went to sleep, I gained level 7 fishing. I wish I could say that we would hit level 10 this season, but I'm afraid the legend is out of reach. Day 18 was a day for running around. It was Pam's birthday, and I had to get the perfect gift for her. While waiting for Gus to open the saloon, I accepted Elliot's request for a bream. The reward included a prize ticket. I was unsure if I had one, so I ran home quickly. Thankfully, I had it. I had no idea where Elliot was, so I decided to drop off my pickaxe for an upgrade before giving him a smelly fish. I found him outside his house and gave him the bream. I immediately cashed in the ticket and got my first sapling, a cute little peach sapling. Before I could go fishing at the lake, I needed to give Pam her birthday gift, so I found her and handed it over. She loved it, of course. The rest of the day consisted of fishing. Chest 29 and the big 30 popped up. I would have had 31 had I not totally fumbled it. Once the sun began to set, I ran home, sold my fish, and planted my sapling next to my field. I headed to bed and Mr. Key dropped mystery boxes in the night. How exciting. Day 19 brought a big harvest. I picked my crops and prepared them for sale. The traveling cart was in town, so I ran down for a visit. Much like before, there wasn't anything there for me. Still no red cabbage seeds. I had finally received the request for a cauliflower from Jody as well. This is the one quest I always remember, so I gave one to her. Soon, we visited Pierre and sold all of our crops. After visiting Pierre, I got Harvey a coffee, but I couldn't find him. I looked everywhere and he was nowhere to be found. How can I romance him when he disappears into the void? I ended my day at the lake. Chests 31 through 34 arrived. Weirdly enough, I got 2 ancient dolls back to back. If I recall, there is a Terraria Easter egg that needs the doll, so I'll be holding on to both. Eventually, the day ended, so I went to bed. No level gains tonight, but I'm satisfied with our chest finds. I woke up on day 20 to Demetrius at my front door. He wanted to set up bats or mushrooms in my cave on my farm. I chose fruit bats because I find them more beneficial. After talking to Demetrius, I headed to Clint's to pick up my pickaxe. While there, I also cracked open a mystery box and a geode. Unfortunately, it was only clay and flower seeds. I ran back to the farm and picked up the spring forageables I had for the community center. I arrived and placed my items in the bundle. I completed the spring forageables bundle and unlocked the pantry. I also donated the few crops I had to the spring crops bundle. I thought I had a green bean, but apparently not. I then went fishing at the lake for a bit. Chest 35 showed its face this time. It contained an anchor for the museum. It was Shane's birthday today, so I headed to the saloon to pick up his gift. I gifted it to him and he loved it. Soon I was back at the lake to finish out the day with fishing. No chests this time. Before I knew it, it was late, so I ran home, sold my fish, and laid down for the night. I achieved level 8 fishing while asleep. Day 21 was yet another day of running around. After harvesting a large amount of strawberries, I ran down to the traveling cart. This time, there were items I could actually buy. I picked up a fiddlehead fern and a pumpkin. I made a trip to Pierre's to sell spare crops and pick up a few more seeds. After Pierre's, I stopped by the bookseller. Once again, I couldn't afford anything. I'll pick up a new book eventually. As the final activity for the day, I went fishing at the lake. I picked up treasure chests 36 through 40. The best items we received were a few geodes and a new artifact to donate. We caught quite a few fish in the process as well. The sun set and the day came to an end. Before going to bed, I tossed my fish in the shipping bin. I then fell asleep to gain level 4 farming overnight. Day 22 was carrot day. I had quite a few carrots ready for harvest. I picked them and replaced them with parsnips. I still had time for one more parsnip harvest. The fruit bats were finally ready. They dropped quite a few forageables, so of course we had to take them. I took the extra forageables from the bats to Pierre's. As for the fruits that I didn't sell, I donated them to the community center. While in town, I ran to Clint's to crack the geodes from the day before. I was able to reveal a few museum donations. I dropped those off once finished at Clint's. It was mid-afternoon, so I stopped into the saloon and picked up a coffee for Harvey. I then ran home and realized I had a ton of time left, so I decided my axe finally needed an upgrade. A few copper bars and a trip to Clint's later, I was going to have a way to collect hardwood in a few days. I came home from town and cleaned up the boulders in the southwest corner of the farm. From the mining, I was able to collect 4 total geodes. It eventually became dark and I went to bed. Today was a busy one, and I hope we can continue to make progress as the end of the season draws near. On the morning of day 23, I was notified that the flower dance was the next day. I didn't have enough hearts with anyone to justify going. I made a lightning trip to the community center after watering my field. I dropped off the green bean that I was missing. The spring crops bundle is now complete. I brought the geodes I found yesterday to Clint and got 2 items that I could donate, and I did just that. Today wasn't raining, but it felt like it was a good mining day. I ran up to the mines and delved right in. I found a couple of interesting things while exploring. I found a black slime with a gold star. It dropped a lead rod. I also found the second dwarf scroll. A part of this trip that I thought was silly was that I tried using the lead rod and failed miserably. I am in no way a slow weapon user, and I kept trying to use it like a regular blade. I never got the timing down. And after failing so miserably, I ended my mines trip by arriving at level 60. It wasn't quite night, so I stopped at the Adventurers Guild. I desperately needed a new sword, so I picked up the Templar's Blade. I did so, not knowing that it has a 0 crit chance. After picking up the new blade, I ran home and went to bed. Overnight, I earned level 4 mining and level 3 combat. I awoke on day 24 and immediately took a trip to the museum. Well, I did so foolishly, because it's the day of the flower dance. I went to the festival and picked up the rare crow and the tub of flowers recipe. I knew that asking anyone to dance was useless, but I asked Harvey anyway. I embarrassed myself and got rejected, so I watched the dance in silence. Soon, the dance was over and it was 10 p.m. I went to bed feeling like today was a waste, but next year, we'll have a better time. Day 25 contained our final harvest for the season. Everything beyond this point will not produce a harvest before the first day of summer. I still planted seeds to preserve the hoe spots. If only this kept the fertilizer in the spots too. What an ideal world that would be. Emily asked for a quartz on the request board, so I ran home to pick one up. I tried to deliver it, but she was in her bedroom. We aren't friends, so I couldn't enter. In the meantime, I donated the second dwarf scroll to the museum. I then tried to deliver the quartz once again. Emily was still in her room. I didn't want to sit in Emily's house awkwardly, so I figured I'd catch her at the saloon later. I went fishing at the lake to kill time. I obtained treasure chests 41, 42, and 43. They contained a couple of mystery boxes. The weird part is that I got a third ancient doll as well. I don't know what I'll do with it, but I guess I can keep it. It was now evening, so I headed to the saloon. I gave Emily her quartz, finally. And Pam and Shane were around, so I purchased a round of beers for them. Both appreciated the gift. After socializing, I headed home and went to bed. No levels tonight, but we're making progress on our hearts goal, and I'll take it. Day 26 is Pierre's birthday. I had no idea on what to get him. I recalled that gems are a universal like, so I settled on a topaz as a gift. I'm getting good at this. It was another traveling cart day, so I took a look at what was for sale. I ended up picking a tomato to take home with me. I wanted more donations for the community center. The request board had a fishing challenge with a prize ticket, so you know that I had to accept it. Before fishing, I poked my head into Pierre's shop and gifted him the topaz for his birthday. Remember how I said I was getting good at this? He did not like the gift. I thought gems were a universal like. Apparently he hates them all, so I guess that's my bad. After embarrassing myself, I began the fishing challenge down by the ocean. I caught all 4 herring pretty quickly. I also fished up treasure chest 44 with some deluxe bait inside. I talked to Demetrius to get my prize ticket and I cashed it in. I got the lamest prize, mixed seeds. I mean, I see the value early on, but dang it, I'm so close to other things. I can literally see them right there. Towards the end of the night, I stopped by the saloon. It was Friday night, so everyone was here. I purchased gifts and handed them out. After my visit to the saloon, I went to bed. I achieved level 5 farming. I did something controversial and picked the tiller profession. I didn't have any animals right now, so I felt it was better suited for my current needs. I can always change it later. Day 27 is Emily's birthday. Good news is that I know exactly what to get her. She loves all gems, and I seem to have a million topaz, so I chose that for her. This gift better pan out this time, dang it. I left the farm and ran to Clint's because my axe was ready. While there, I cracked open my mystery boxes. I got free coffees for Harvey. After visiting Clint, I fished in town. I caught a few fish and treasure chests 45 and 46. One of the chests had a geode that I was gonna crack later. Soon I gave Emily the birthday gift I chose for her. This time, I was right on the money. She loved the topaz and I gained multiple hearts with her. I noticed the time and it was 3:40. If I wanted to crack that geode, I had to leave right that instant. I made it to Clint's at 3:50 and cracked the geode at the exact right time. It revealed an artifact that I needed to donate, so I went to the museum and donated the artifact. I feel that we're making pretty good progress on the museum. I ran home and harvested hardwood with my new axe. I didn't get much, but if I continue on harvesting daily, I'll have plenty in no time. Before I knew it, it was time for bed. While I slept, I gained level 4 foraging. Day 28 was the final day of the season. I wanted to end it with a bang, but instead we kept it quiet and relaxed. There is no point in stressing on the last day. The traveling cart came for the last time in spring. There were good things to buy, but I was trying to conserve funds for summer seeds. Not that I had much to spend anyway. Abigail requested a largemouth bass, so I picked one up out of my chest and ran to her house. However, just like every other NPC with a request, she was locked behind a door. I didn't want to wait, so I decided to come back later. I had a few coffees from the mystery boxes, so I found Harvey and gave him one. I can feel us getting closer to him. I then tried again to give Abigail her fish. She was locked behind Pierre's room this time. Ugh! I ran around for an hour or so and found her outside, so I gave her the fish and got the gopher achievement. It was midday, so I figured a short fishing trip was in order. Surprisingly, there were no treasure chests this time around. That's too bad. However, I did catch a few fish and some experience. I realized late in the day that I needed sap for fertilizer. I didn't want to waste time on the first day of summer trying to scramble for sap. So I went home and chopped trees until I couldn't anymore. I didn't end up with much, but I had enough to satisfy my plan for the summer crops. It became night, so it was time for bed. I find that while it was quiet, today was a good wrap-up to the first season. What? We're at the end of the first season already. Wow, that went so fast. This season was so fruitful in so many ways. Let's review a few of our achievements this season. First, we had multiple harvests of various crops. We grew and shipped all the available spring crops. Second, we fished for 16 of the 28 days in spring. We ended up with 46 total treasure chests from all the fishing trips. Third, we made it to level 60 in the mines. And finally, we have 2 of our tools upgraded to copper or better. Now, while these items are great, I think we need to review our goals to really gauge how we did this season. Our first goal was to get married in the first year. Good news is that we selected a candidate, but we only have a few hearts with him. We actively give him coffees, so we are continuing to make progress. Our second goal was to max out 5 NPCs' hearts. So far, we don't have anyone close to max friendship, but we are making slow and steady progress as we haven't missed any birthdays. Our third goal was to complete 75% of the community center and 50% of the museum. The community center is severely behind. We have no donations to the fish tank and only 2 bundles completed. As for the museum, we are making amazing progress. We have 36 of the 95 total items donated. I'd say that is incredible progress for the first season. Our final goal was to go to every event in year 1. Good news is that we're at 100% completion for that one. Overall, I'd say our progress was good, but I think we can do better. To succeed in maxing the 5 NPCs, we need to choose specific folks to charm. I think the easier the gift is to obtain, the more likely we're going to choose them. I'm thinking someone like Shane, Pam, or Sam will work well. As for marriage, we will have to keep gifting coffees to Harvey in hopes that he will love us soon. For the community center, we'll have to get better about donations. It isn't that we don't have the items, it just boils down to actually donating items to the bundles. As for the museum, I think that if we keep fishing and going to the mines, we will achieve our 50% goal easily. We will likely farm dust sprites for the burglar's ring, so we may run into a few good drops from them and have increased odds of drops once we get the ring. Attending the events is simple enough. Spring was easy, but summer will have a few more to account for. However, if we pay attention to the date, I am confident that we will have no issues attending every event in summer. Overall, the season has been a great one. I know we made little progress in some areas, but I am proud of the things we did achieve. I'm looking forward to sharing summer with you, and I hope that you are as excited as I am. Hey, before you take off, I wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart for staying until this point in the video. This is my very first scripted YouTube video. I worked incredibly hard on it, and I cannot express enough gratitude to you for sticking around. I want to shout out both my partner and my friend Chance for being so supportive throughout this. I could not have done it without you. I have already begun work on the summer segment of this series. If you're interested in seeing more of this series, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Regardless if you stick around or we part ways, I hope you had fun with me. I'm looking forward to seeing you all again. Stay healthy and stay safe, and I will see you next time.